Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. I'm Steven Browne, and on the show today we are discussing Bradford City's final push for automatic promotion. Joining me on the show is our regular Bradford City contributor and Bantam, Gareth Walker, and we're also joined by another West Yorkshire Football Show stalwart. It is Lewis Sale. Good afternoon, gents. Thanks for joining me. Now, if you're watching along, don't forget to hit the like button and drop your thoughts in the comments. And make sure to subscribe to the channel for more shows like this, covering Bradford City and our other teams across the region as well. Okay, well, let's get into it. Bradford City face 14th place Fleetwood tomorrow and only need to equal or better other fixtures to secure automatic promotion to League One. Gaz, first of all, have the nerves kicked in yet? And how are you feeling ahead of tomorrow's huge game?
I honestly don't know how it's going to go, Brownie. It's one of them. If you'd have asked me at the start of the season if you wanted to play Fleetwood at home to go up, you win, you're up, people would have said yeah. But the form since a month ago has been really, really poor. So we've had umpteen chances to get over the line, whether that be, Swindon away, Chesterfield away, Notts County at home, even Donny away. We've had it in our hands a few times and blown it. So, it's nervous. I'm nervous. I saw somebody saying before the Doncaster game last week that it's the biggest game in 25, 26 years. It definitely is tomorrow. It feels like it is tomorrow because we've not been in an automatic promotion. We've not had a chance of automatic promotion on the last day for 26 years. So it's massive. Obviously, we've been in playoff campaigns and been going for playoffs before, but to be in this situation is new for a lot of City fans. Obviously, I've been going for 30 odd years, so I can remember 99 and what it was like going to Wolves on last day. Nervous. I've been quite pessimistic for the last because of the form, really. But now I'm just in the situation I said on Monday's show where you've just got to forget everything that's gone before and just try and get these lads over the line and do what we can to get them over the line and get behind them as much as we can tomorrow. Because if you get over the line, nothing else matters and everything that's been before has to be forgotten. And let's just get pulled together and try and do it tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. As Gaz mentions there, Lewis, difficult run of form for City at the moment. What have you made of their recent form and how do you see City's chances going into tomorrow?
Listen, there's no hiding the fact they have struggled in recent weeks. Obviously, there's been a bit of ill discipline, which hasn't helped them either with red cards in big moments, big players missing. Let's be honest. Smallwood, we've seen it this week, absolutely sweep up the Player of the Year awards, pretty much across the whole board, winning everything from supporters club to players player to Player of the Year within the club, and that's how important he has been. There was a question mark over recruitment to possibly fill in case he was missing, and obviously that has been a bit of a hole that's had to be trying to be filled in the past couple of games. And obviously we've seen a situation with Baldwin, which, didn't go down too well at all. But I agree with Gaz. I think you just got to forget everything you possibly can. It's been a very difficult period. It's one of those that if City have a decent run of form, tomorrow does become as big as what it is. The job could have already been done. They could have been celebrating along with Doncaster last weekend. But like Gaz said, would you have taken this at the beginning of the season? Absolutely you would. And it is arguably one of City's biggest games in a long, long time. But it's one of those where people are probably expecting City to win as well, which can work for and against you. And I know Gaz will probably touch on a little bit of that later on, but when you've got a sellout Valley Parade, everybody's gunning for you. There's going to be a real good atmosphere about that. Everybody's going to be encouraging the players to do as best as they can, despite what's happened in previous weeks. You've just got to go and do the job quite simply on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Gaz, how do you want to see City approach the game tomorrow? I know it's going to be hard to keep that emotion at bay so close to getting over the line, but what do you want to see from the managers and the players tomorrow going into that game?
I've thought about this a lot, and I think really City always cope best when they treat it like any other game. You look at Wembley in 2013, and we'd already been there for the cup final, and we treat the Northampton playoff final like any other game. And it's going to be really difficult tomorrow because everyone's building it up. You've got, the City event have organised a fans march from North Parade up to the ground. The crowd's going to be ram jam packed, full house. You've got everybody's talking about it. You've had messages from Windass and Jamie Lawrence today wishing everybody well, and just building it up and building it up and building it up. And obviously that's natural for a lot of people to do, but in a way, it'd be easier if City can just treat it like any other game. I know you can't do that, but they've got to try and do that as best that they can. Let the supporters and everything around the club get excited, but the players and the manager really just have to treat it as best as they can like another game and just go out and approach it like they would any game. Obviously, you want to leave everything on the pitch and no stone unturned. I've seen Pete Wild's comments this week from Fleetwood manager saying that it's a fantastic opportunity for them to go and play in an atmosphere that they won't have experienced before with the shackles off, because they've got no pressure on them whatsoever, so they can enjoy it. We know how that works. Sometimes players are on the beach. Sometimes having the shackles off loosens them up and they're fantastic. So whether the pressure will weigh heavy on us, I don't know. I think it has over the last few weeks. You only have to look at, like I said, the meltdowns from Bowen and Smallwood, and we've certainly missed Smallwood over the last 3 games. Missing penalties, conceding late goals. It does feel like the pressure's getting to us a bit. So I just really want to. Obviously, at home, you'd back as our home forms season against Colchester and against Crewe. So in that respect, we should be all right. But yeah, I do want us to treat it like any other game as much as we can, to be honest.
Indeed. Lewis, how would you assess the job Graham Alexander has done at City this season? Obviously, there's been ups and downs, but now he has a chance to write himself into the history books, we say.
Yeah, listen, it's one of those, I think, where some of us have kind of said, told you so. We expected Alexander to do a decent job. Listen, there's no hiding again that he's come under some criticism throughout the season. Not everything's been perfect, but, let's be honest, you're in League Two for a reason, because you're not a Pep, you're not a potential Klopp or whatever that looks like. I think he's been remarkable. I think from where City were last year, very, very average. To getting together a group of players. I thought his summer recruitment, I called it at the beginning of the season, was one of the best in the league. He recruited experienced players who won promotion, leaders who've been there and done it, most notably likes of Bernan Sarcevic from Stockport. Obviously, we've seen Callum Johnson come in, who's had limited minutes, but he's got the experience in that level. I just felt they were on to something. And I think what's impressed me most is when it started to get a little bit edgy, when people were kind of turning a little bit against Alexander, he still managed to do the job that was required of him. He managed to get the wins, but they seemed to just at some point seem to struggle to get through. But he's ground them out, and that's credit to him and the coaching staff and the players, because they've overcome a little bit of adversity. Because with Bradford City, there's a big expectation to get promoted, whether that's through the playoffs or, like I say, hopefully through automatic. I think he's done a great job, and I think he's just shown exactly what kind of experienced manager can do at Bradford City when people feel galvanised. I mean, Gaz has seen it better than me, but from what I've seen in City this season, there seems to be a team spirit that isn't as, it kind of mimics a little bit of the previous occasions under Parkinson, where the players were fighting for each other, where there's a real togetherness, and I think that goes a long, long way, especially at this level, because that can almost get you an extra, for me, 6 to 9 points, because the quality might not necessarily be there at the top of that level, but that team spirit can really help you through. So I think that's massive credit to the likes of Alexander and Luketti. And listen, whatever happens tomorrow, which obviously be tough if it doesn't go City's way, he's still done a remarkable job to pull them away from where they were last season, in what was a disappointing season, but only finished 1 point outside of playoffs, to now being 90 minutes away from automatic and looking up to League One.
Indeed. If you're watching along live, guys, please do smash a like on the video and get your comments, your thoughts and feelings on what we're discussing today with the huge game there tomorrow. Gaz, 6 years in League One. Bit of a difficult question, but how would you sum up City's time in the division?
Missed opportunity, disappointment, failed to achieve what we all wanted to achieve, not maxed out our potential, not good enough, I suppose, is what I'd say, what we've done in League One, in League Two so far. We came down with big hopes to go back up. I think Gary Bowyer were manager when we first came down, and there were obviously people thought that we'd have the opportunity to go straight back, and we haven't done it. We've been there 6 years. We were there 6 years last time when Parkinson came in and turned it all around and got us promoted. So there's a little bit of symmetry there. It just takes a long time to turn Bradford City round as a club. It's like Lou kind of touched on it there. When we get going, we're a hard vehicle to stop, as you saw under Parkinson when he got us up to the top of League One on the verge of the Championship. But blimey, it's a big job to get us turned around when things aren't going great and you're sinking down. And yeah, so not good enough, I suppose, is how I'd sum it up, Brownie. We've had the opportunity on numerous occasions. We obviously had the playoff final against Carlisle. Sorry, the playoff semi-final against Carlisle, where we just didn't turn up in the away leg. Mark Hughes came in, big reputation. He couldn't get us over the line. And then last year we left it too late. We had that horrible March where we lost, didn't win a game for ages, and then we had the run at the end of the season where we just couldn't quite make it into the playoffs. So the last 3 years we've been close, but yeah, just not good enough. And it's about time that we had this opportunity. Really, things have come together. I think David Sharp coming in with Graham Alexander has made a big difference. Two managers that have been there, Graham Alexander's been in this situation before. David Sharp's done the role of director of football at clubs before, which is something that City haven't had until he's come in. So things have started to come together a little bit. David Sharp did say that when he first came in that it could take 2 or 3 windows, 3 or 4 maybe even windows to get the squad how he wanted it. So I think we're a little bit ahead of schedule as far as he's concerned. But what a fantastic opportunity. And I just can't comprehend how flat it's going to be and how disappointing it's going to be if we don't get over the line tomorrow. Everyone's so pumped, everyone's so excited, and I just feel that we deserve it after the years that we've had it in this division. I saw that the season ticket sales have gone over 14,000 again for next season, so the support's there. We all know what a massive club we can be. Obviously, the ground and the club and the training ground are owned by the same people. They're all owned by different people, which causes us a problem financially. That needs sorting out long term, but short term, let's get back into League One as soon as we can, and hopefully, fingers crossed, let's pray it's tomorrow.
Yeah, and one of the things that's obviously gone in the Bantams' favour for a few weeks, if not months now, is the absolutely horrendous form of Walsall. I mean, Gaz, what have you made of how that's gone for them? I mean, they were in a remarkable position, one of the form teams going into the new year, and like last weekend, even myself, I was gutted after that result, and then a couple of hours later, it's kind of, we've got another opportunity because Walsall have messed up again. I mean, how surprised are you by their form since the turn of the year?
It's remarkable, really. It shows, I think, no team's a one-man team, but it shows how reliant they were on Nathan Lowe, the goals that he got from him in the first half of the season before Stoke called him back. You've got Walsall fans booing and chanting for Matt Sadler's head now. They have been for the last couple of weeks. Obviously, their form has been just crazy, really. It's totally contrasting to what it was the first half of the season. If they weren't bottling it or throwing it away, whatever you want to word it, if they weren't doing that, then I think the focus would be on a lot more on us and what we've done over the last few weeks, because they're the only ones who you could say have had a bigger opportunity than us and haven't taken it so far. They will win eventually. I thought they'd win last week. I honestly did. They're not going to go without winning forever and ever and ever. Hopefully, it's not tomorrow. But if it is, yeah, we just need to make sure we get our job done, because if we get our job done, it doesn't matter what Walsall and Notts County do. But yeah, just remarkable, really, their form, the drop-off. And like I said, the attitude of the fans had totally turned on Sadler. And yeah, it just feels like since Lowe went back to Stoke, they've really, really struggled. And why that is only they will know. Players, fans, staff, whoever it is down at Walsall, obviously will have the feelings about why that's happened. But from the outside, it's really, really difficult to comprehend.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lewis, that pressure when it comes to crunch time in seasons and how it affects players and managers, I mean, it's always remarkable to see what pressure does to players and managers.
Yeah, it's one of those that you just can't describe it unless you're kind of going through it. We can only imagine and speculate what it feels like to be, a manager and a player at this situation with less than 24 hours, this time tomorrow. You're probably hoping that you kind of know whereabouts you're going to lie next season. It's a funny thing. listen, I've spoken before about connections I've got with Walsall, and they sensed that was happening in January when Nathan Lowe left, but also there were a few murmurs that some of the players were going to leave, and they never did. And then I think the nail in the coffin was the City game, and they've just never been able to recover. Winning becomes a habit, as does losing. It feels to me that the only team that's really properly pushed on and almost wanted to win this title seems to be Donny, like they did last year. They came from absolutely nowhere, and they've done the same again this season. Port Vale have been up and down. Listen, talking about Bradford City, they've been up and down, but still got a chance of securing an automatic promotion. It's been a really crazy League Two season. So tomorrow, from a Bradford City perspective, and I'm sure Gaz will agree, you want the game done and dusted within the first half, and you can enjoy the second half and have a party atmosphere and revel in it. But that only becomes reality when you're probably 3-0 up, 2-0 in enough. That becomes, reality when you're 3 goals, 4 goals up. And I'm pretty sure that to get the crowd on the side and get everybody behind each other, I'm pretty sure the likes of Alexander and the players will be wanting for a quick start. I know we'll probably talk a little bit about what Fleetwood might offer. But they're a young side. They've never been in this kind of cauldron before. Got a lot of young players who, come up from the academy. So yes, they've probably not got the pressure and the shackles on them, but to play in front of 25,000 fans, that's completely alien to them. Whereas Bradford City players, and most of them have been in that environment before and know exactly what it takes. So yeah, it's going to be tough. You just don't want it to come down to that situation where you've just not given everything at the end of that 90 minutes. And if you can look at each other in that dressing room and go, we did absolutely everything we possibly could to get that win, then you can go into the playoffs with a little bit of something about you. But if you come off there disappointed thinking we didn't do enough there, that's what will hurt a lot of people.
Yeah, indeed. Gaz, as Lewis mentions there about Fleetwood, what kind of opponents do you expect them to be tomorrow? Is it kind of ideal in a way? I mean, they're 14th in the league. If you could have cherry-picked an opponent, would they be the ones that you'd be looking towards playing tomorrow?
Probably not, to be honest, even though where they are in the league, obviously nothing to play for. I touched on it earlier. That can work both ways. Pressure being off and relaxed and they play out of the skin, or they can be on the beach and their minds are elsewhere. But I think that the little nagging problem that City fans are worried about tomorrow is Pete Wild a little bit. I don't think Pete Wild's ever lost at Valley Parade. I think he's got a really good record against Bradford City. We've seen him come a few times in the past. Definitely once I remember him coming with Barrow, and the only word you can use is shithouse. He just absolutely shithoused it from start to finish. Wasting time, delay. I think they came in our half once in the whole game and scored. It was the only time they entered our box. They beat us 1-0. So there is that worry tomorrow that he could do that again. It's not... What I'm hoping for, and I talked about it a little bit this week, is I'm hoping that if he does come, if the team do, they might not, they might come in because the shackles are off and they're really relaxed and they've got the opportunity to go and play in front of this crowd. They might be open and expansive and enjoy themselves. You don't know. I don't know how he's going to approach it, but he has had a history of doing that at Valley Parade before. I just hope if that's the case that we have a strong referee that can deal with that. We obviously saw what happened in the Tranmere home game a while back where Andy Crosby and his team came and played just like that, and it was anti-football to a new level, to be honest. And again, they didn't really go in our half in the whole game until they broke and got a penalty in our box and beat us 1-0. So the referee didn't help with that at all. He was stop start, wanting to talk to somebody every 2 minutes, and it just really played into the hands. So if that is the case and they do approach it like that tomorrow, we do need a strong referee that can deal with it. But yeah, it is a worry. But again, like you said, they've nothing to play for, so it could go the other way where they're on the beach. I think the worry I have about the City team is that we've got Sarcevic back, we've got Smallwood back tomorrow. Sarcevic has been back for a few weeks now, but we do look a little bit threadbare at the back. Obviously, we play 3 centre halves. Aidan Baldwin will be suspended after last week. Kieran Kelly's injured. There are rumours that Jack Shepherd might not make the game. He missed last week with a groin injury, and he's 50-50 whether he'll make the game. So you could have a scenario where we've got a sort of second choice back 3, if you will, tomorrow, which isn't ideal in any game. But yeah, as to how they'll approach it, it'll be one of those 2 ways. It'll either be shackles off and they come and they play and they enjoy themselves and relish playing in front of a big crowd, or they come and they shithouse it, which he's done before. So one of those 2 scenarios, and we've got to deal with whichever one it is. I know that Graham Alexander said that and he said it about other games before this season, that teams change how they play when they come to Valley Parade, when they play against Bradford. He's had them watched, and Pete Wells played 2 or 3 different formations over recent weeks, so you can't really go off that. But also there's the fact that teams change how they play when they come to Bradford. So yeah, he feels that you have to kind of adapt once the game's started to how they're playing a little bit, and before the game starts and up to that point, you focus on yourselves and what you can do. So whatever problem they pose us tomorrow, we've got to overcome it, but primarily focus on ourselves and getting the job done.
Good stuff. Lou, just looking at the wider context, obviously we remember the League Cup run, we remember previous promotions with City, but how important to the city is it that Bradford City are successful, and just that feeling?
Great minds, because I was thinking the same. You know, Bradford as a city has had its ups and downs, we all know. Obviously, it's kind of going through a bit of a rejuvenation. We know with the city of culture, but what the city's lacked for quite a while is successful sports teams. You know, we've seen Bradford City in the past, Bradford Bulls have been, you know, Bulls been best in the world, City in the Premier League, and it's been a long, long time since the city's been thriving off that. The city does buzz off success, and listen, City play a massive part in that. You know, on occasions like this, could City have sold more than 25,000 tickets? Yeah, we could do. We could probably fill another 30. We could fill 30,000 if we needed to. The appetite's there. The appetite is just sometimes it's probably just not as regular as what some people may think it is, as we've seen down the years, because of like Gaz said, simply just not being good enough in the league. But I think if City get into League One, it gives people a bit of a buzz. We know it's going to be an emotional day regardless anyway of the game, because we obviously know it's the 40th anniversary of Bradford City Fire, which has a place in a lot of people's hearts across the city, but obviously notably for those at Bradford City as well. So it's going to be quite emotionally charged as it is. The city always comes out in its best for me in that occasion as well. So when you put kind of 1 and 1 together, you're feeling that it should be done for City. It would just be kind of written in the stars that will happen. But yeah, I agree. If City are languishing in League Two, it does have an effect on the City for sure.
Gaz, the future, not to tempt fate, but if Bradford City do make it and are promoted, how do you envisage life in League One? What would the club need to do to compete?
It'd be tough, Brownie. I mean, I remember when we went up last time and we talked about how it's almost, I think we've talked about on the pod before, it's like there's 2 leagues in one in League One in a way. There's the haves and the have-nots. You've got the teams up near the top who have a lot of money and can obviously do things that those down at the bottom can't. Any team coming up has to try and finish in sort of the top of that bottom third or the top of that bottom half, if you will. Obviously, City are going to be in that situation, because if they do go up, they're not going to have the finances to mix with your Huddersfields, for example. You know, the backing that they've got with Kevin Nagle, City wouldn't have that. So I talked before about how obviously Stefan Rupp owns the club, but Gordon Gibbs Pension Fund owns the ground, and they rent training facilities off the school. So the 3 main facets of the club are owned by different people. So we're not in a position where we can go and steamroll things and kick on straight away like your Wrexhams or your Stockports have done. With something we'd have to build, and would probably take time to build. But I think if we went up to League One, there'd be more of a willingness from supporters to have that patience and to allow that time to build, compared to what there's been in League Two, because everyone feels that we should be in League One at the very least. And a lot of the City fans believe that we should be possibly in the Championship, but definitely sort of League One. So there might be a little bit more patience and a little bit more time around for the powers that be to do that. But yeah, it'd be really tough. You've also got the scenario that you just look at the clubs that are there. You know, your Boltons, your Huddersfield, Cardiff could be coming down, Hull could be coming down. There's some massive clubs in that division, whereas obviously in League Two it's slightly different. You've got your Barrows, your Harrogates, no disrespect to teams like that, but they approach games in a different way when they come to Valley Parade. You know, a Bolton or a Huddersfield aren't going to come and sit back and, to use my word earlier, shithouse the way through a game at Valley Parade. I think it's not what they'll do. So it'll be a totally and utterly different kettle of fish in League One if we were to go up. But let's worry about that if and when we get there. I really, like I say, I don't know how it's going to go, Brownie. You could have the performance that we had against Colchester and Crewe, where the crowd got so behind the team that we sort of helped them over the line, or you could have the nerves and the jitters that we've had over the last 2 or 3 weeks with the Swindon and Chesterfield and the Notts County and the Doncaster games. So it's really, really difficult to see how it's going to go. Obviously, Lou said earlier that, an early goal or being in front at half time it'd be fantastic. But we've said all season that City are better when they've got an early goal because teams have to come out and play. But over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've been 2 goals in front in games at both Swindon and Chesterfield and only come away with 1 point from Chesterfield and nothing from Swindon. So everything kind of goes out the window at this time of the season. I'm just praying to God that we get over the line tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed. Lewis, obviously, we've spoken to our Huddersfield man Downsy numerous times about how strong League One has been this year. A couple of big fish, obviously, going up, Birmingham, Wrexham, etc. But what do you expect from League One next year if the Bantams are in it?
I think it'll be the tightest League One in terms of competition for a long, long time. I think this season we've seen, Birmingham almost be that just freak of a team that are going up because simply they've got everything behind them. They still have to do the job, but there's not going to be many teams to see in League One with everything that's gone behind them. Obviously, Wrexham have done exceptionally well. We know what Parkinson's done at City. He's obviously done the same at Wrexham with back-to-back promotions now. But I feel this division was going to be a lot stronger next season. Likes of Bolton, Barnsley, Blackpool, like you said, potentially Hull, Cardiff. That's Plymouth. That's going to be such a tough division. Doncaster are going to be pushing similar to City in terms of slowly building rather than going straight for immediate success. I really think League One will be a very tough division, but at the end of the day, you've just got to be in it to win it. And I think from City's perspective, and like Gaz said, you kind of worry about that when you get there, but you'd much rather, with greatest respect, want to go to Bolton and Hull and then kind of teams in Cardiff and going away to Harrogate or away to Accrington, for instance. There's a big level, there's a big jump between League Two and League One. And I reckon that City would do well to stay in League One, but they've definitely got they seem to have got the infrastructure right behind the scenes. I think they've got the right man in charge. Like I said, David Sharp's been there. He kind of knows exactly what's needed at League Two and League One level. And they've got players who are winners. I keep saying it's a massive, massive thing to have that something to hold on to. In that dressing room tomorrow at 2:59, there's going to be players a little bit edgy, but the likes of Sarcevic and Byrne are going to go, no, this is exactly what you need to do. Do the basics. Don't do anything silly. The crowd are behind us. There's people in that dressing room who've been there and done it, and I think that will really, really help City tomorrow.
Good stuff. Now, just before we go, this is going to be horrible. I'm sorry, Gaz. I apologise in advance. But score predictions. I'll start with Lewis. We'll give Gaz a moment just to compose himself and think of what he might go for. But Lou, tomorrow, Bradford City versus Fleetwood. What is your score prediction, mate?
I'm not just saying it because we're talking about. I'm going for a comfortable 2-0 victory. I think City are going to do the job. I think the whole momentum behind the players, the manager, is just going to push them over the line. I think they're a better team. Let's be honest, 6-7 times out of 10, they'd probably beat Fleetwood at home, with respect. I've said before that, apart from the likes of Matty Virtue and Rooney, obviously I don't know if David Mayer's playing it, he's a good player, but they're relatively inexperienced. The strikers up front, likes of Owen Devonport, I've seen him at, academy level, and that's a big jump for a kid of his abilities. He's decent, but when you're up against 3 centre-backs at League Two level, regardless of who that is, that's going to be really tough. So I think City will win it. I think they'll be comfortable. And I could see him going in at the break, maybe 0-0. It might be a little bit edgy, but I think, like I say, that experience and that know-how will definitely get him over the line. And having Smallwood back is just perfect timing. Because yes, people weren't happy about him sending off, but he's got a point to prove, and he'll literally want to carry that team on the back of his shoulders and take them over the line.
Brilliant. Gaz, do you dare make a prediction? Oh, he's so scared to make a prediction, he's left himself on mute.
Yeah, I said no comment. I can't say that we're going to lose because I just can't do that. But I daren't say that we're going to do well either, because every time I do it backfires, a bit like Downsy in our group chat. So when I get confident, everything goes wrong. And I've been so, like I said, a couple of times recently after the Chesterfield and the Swindon games where I just was speechless for hours after. So I daren't say anything. Yeah, let's just see how it goes and keep everything crossed.
By the way, do we have to ban Downsy from making predictions tomorrow? Is he on a 24-hour ban?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. Good stuff. So there you have it. Bradford City's automatic promotion hopes all hang on tomorrow's match. But what do you think? Can the Bantams do it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to the West Yorkshire Football Show. I've been Steven Browne, and with me has been Gareth Walker and Lewis Sale. Thank you very much, gents. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.